My name's Kelsey, and here at TheSorryGirls, we love DIY, design, and doing it with sustainability in mind. And today we are making some very much needed aesthetic storage solutions. Now, should we see if the pin board pins? Because I actually don't fully know.
Oh my god, this is perfect. This is exactly what I needed.
Haha, I'm done. Let us see how it turned out. A few of my friends and I have been pinning storage solution DIYs, and today I'm excited to bring them to life through the power of DIY. We've DIY'd for our friends before here on TheSorryGirls, and it's always good fun, so I'm excited to do it again today. Okay, for this first DIY, I might be cheating just a little bit because I'm my own friend, or I guess I could say Elliot is my friend, because our problem is that we have all this mail, adult paperwork, gift cards, etc. that we don't want to just file away. So my thought is I want to put it on a board so that it's still somewhat in sight. So behind my basement door, on the way down to my bedroom basement suite, I think is the perfect spot for a pin board. See, it'll be hidden behind there, so you won't even really see it. I don't want to do a classic old cork board. Let's do something a little bit more stylish, a little bit more on theme with my home. So for that, bam! Let's hit the hardware store. I've become an audiobook girly. Never thought I'd be an audiobook girly, but what helped me was finding audiobooks that are specifically known to be good audiobooks. Right now I'm listening to I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. So for the base of my pin board, I'm going to use soundproofing panels. There are lots of different brands out there, but most should work fine as long as it's a dense board-like material rather than insulation. I brought along this pin just to double check the consistency, and these panels are relatively affordable, under $15, and this brand Sonopan is actually made from 100% recycled wood and no chemicals or glues. So I did know before purchasing that it would not fit in my car, so in the parking lot using a utility knife, I cut the panel to my desired size, which for my space is 20 inches by 4 feet. Okay, don't need this right now, we'll need that later. So obviously this green is not really the vibe, so what we're actually gonna do is put some fabric over top of it, but I have something that's even cheaper and better. So a couple months ago, I discovered that the coffee shop near me gives away free coffee bags. I picked them up knowing that I can probably DIY something amazing with them, and today is the day. Ta-da! Now, no way. Okay, it's like my lucky day because one coffee bag covers my whole board. Wow. Okay, I am thinking that before I put on this burlap, I am gonna paint it in the end so that it fits in with my decor a little bit better. But this green is showing through a little bit, so I think I should give this board like the quickest coat of like a primer, just so that we don't see the green tinge showing through.
Not ideal.
Rachel?
Yes?
I'm looking for the staple gun. Do you know where it is?
Which one?
Well, we have the silver one, but I don't think it works because it's like vintage.
Oh, the blue one.
The blue one. Did you use it in your reupholstering video?
I did not.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thought I was gonna catch you.
Sorry, dear.
I can't find it. Before attaching the burlap to the painted panel, I just need to iron out the wrinkles so that it will lay as flat as possible. Then I'm taking some spray adhesive and spraying a generous coat over the top of the board so that the burlap sticks to it. I'm smoothing out any bubbles so that it is as smooth as possible. This is way too satisfying to do. Next, I'm just repeating the process on the back edges and adding some staples to make sure that the burlap stays in place. I am just using a regular office stapler because I couldn't find our staple gun, but this one definitely works. Wait a minute. Is Yellowstone just like country Succession?
No idea what you're asking me.
Let me know if Yellowstone is just a country version of Succession. I've only gotten through a little bit of each of those series. Okay, that was really easy and this looks so good. And I'm glad my little stapler worked out. This is a really soft material, so it's good enough. Now, should we see if the pin board pins? Because I actually don't fully know. Drum roll, please. Wow, it pins. Now you'll see I purposely used the coffee bag inside out because I wasn't going for the coffee bag effect, although I think that would look cool if that's your vibe, to like have the coffee bag print on the outside. But I am gonna paint this my wall color just so that it blends in a little bit. I mean, you're not really gonna see it anyways, it's behind the door, but that's my preference. Okay, so when this thing is dry, I'm going to mark 1.5 inches on each corner, and that's where I'm gonna drill a small hole in order to feed my screw through. Because screws are a little unsightly, I have these decorative screw caps that I'm going to use in addition. So all you're gonna need to do is put my screw through the base, and then the cap snaps onto it. But to install it, I need a wall. And for that, we need to go to my house. So I think I'm gonna take off my door so that you can properly see me install this. Subscribe if you haven't already for the effort that I go through for you guys. Hey, wow, open concept. I'm drilling some holes in the wall where I made those original holes in the pin board, then adding some drywall plugs, and then adding those screw caps before screwing in the screws. All that's left to do is to add some of my loose papers, and this mess is finally organized. Okay, nothing special, but helpful, right?
Yeah.
We can put all our businessy stuff here.
Oh, this is why you left all the paper out on the counter.
Yeah, babe, keep up.
Nice.
Do you want to help me put the door back on?
Sure.
Okay, so you guys know Justin, editor Justin. He's been at TheSorryGirls the longest outside of Becky and I. He has been in some serious need of some hat storage. So I want to figure out a way to make some storage for him that will be easy and look great. So I have a 2x3 here, and essentially what I'm gonna be doing is making slots on the 1x3. They're gonna look a little something like this. And Justin said that he has to store around 8 to 10 hats. So I think I'm just gonna make 10 slots so that he can store all his hats or potentially get more hats. All my holes are gonna be 1 inch big, and I want them to be at least 2 inches apart, which means I'm gonna measure the center to the center to be 3 inches apart. I'm gonna start 2 inches from the top, then measure every 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's chop off the excess so it's not in my way. For this next step, you're either gonna wanna use a spade bit or a Forstner bit. These are both 1 inch, whatever you have on hand. Spade bit, it just is gonna go through a little bit further than I need to, so I'm gonna use a Forstner. And repeat. A tip when using a Forstner bit like this is to put a scrap piece of wood underneath so the hole on the underside doesn't have those annoying splintery bits. Also, it gives us something to drill into, and this just makes for a nice clean finish. So I have my holy wood here, and did I get a Rochelle giggle? So I have my holy wood here, and I actually just made a template for kind of the parallel lines that I'm gonna be cutting into this wood to slide on the hat. So just using my 1-inch bit, I went in and made a hole, and then made 2 parallel lines that are 5/8 apart, and my hat will slide onto that. I mean, I'm doing this with really thin MDF, so it's not the best, but it works. And I'm gonna pick which side of my wood looks best. That's gonna be the front side that I'm gonna cut the slots out of. I'm gonna use this template to make sure I'm making the exact same marks on every single hole on my piece of wood here. And then with this clamped to the edge, I'm just going to follow those lines with the jigsaw to cut out the slot. Okay, we are so close. This is starting to look like a hat rack, but now we need to do a quick sand. Okay, before I stain and seal this, the last thing I wanna do is actually drill out some holes for where my key hole hangers are gonna go. Then I can just chisel out in between, and I'm not gonna screw them into place because first I'm gonna stain it. Slightly smaller bit so that the screw head can fit in behind. So Justin said that he has a lot of darker wood tone furniture in his space, so that is the color I'm gonna aim for. I'm gonna go in with a brush first and then wipe away the excess with a dry rag. Sexy dark. I never get to use this like dark stain, so thank you, Justin. So with a couple of layers of top coat and the key hole hangers screwed in, it's time to go install this hat rack. It doesn't look like a hat rack without the hats. It's time to go install this at Justin's and see what he thinks. Justin, I'm coming over.
Oh my god, this is perfect. This is exactly what I needed. It just like fits perfectly right beside the mirror, so I'm kind of like stoked about it. Stoked!
Okay, next up we're gonna be making a hanging canvas organizer. Now my friend Andrea, aka past TSG social media manager, has been pinning these, and I just think they're very cool, and I love this DIY because we can make it super customizable to whatever you might need to store. We're gonna be doing craft supplies. So the other day when I was at the hardware store, I picked up this drop cloth, and I like the idea of using this because it can be a little bit more accessible than purchasing fabric, and it can also be cheaper. Although I'm now realizing the burlap coffee bag stacks would also work really, really well for this. Haha! I also asked Andrea for her door size because this is gonna be a behind the door hanging storage, and I wanna make this super customized to meet all of her needs. So I have my plan, and I kind of hope that that was the hard part, honestly, and I hope in the end my maths. So I'm first gonna cut my drop cloth to the back size of my organizer, which is 26 inches by 64 inches plus seam allowance. Andrea has a little bit of a bigger door at 36 by 80 inches. So depending if you're making this for a door and how big your door is, I would change this to fit your needs. I'm folding the raw edges over 2 times in order to make a hem. I'm pinning this in place and then doing a straight stitch in order to hold it all in place. You can also use hemming tape if that's easier for you or if you don't have a sewing machine. So really I kind of just have 2 steps left. One is applying all of like the pockets that are gonna go across the front. And then the other is adding grommets so that it can hook onto some over-the-door hooks really nicely. I'm gonna start with the grommets just because it's a little bit more exciting for me. So I bought grommet kit online. Comes with things that look like this. And it came with a bunch of grommets. I think I got 1-inch size, just to make sure that my door hooks would fit through. So now I have to choose what color. I think it's between silver and this like gunmetal color. Gunmetal? Here for it. So exciting. I measured 1.5 inches from the top and the side. Then I used the grommet to trace out where I needed the hole to be. I cut this out using my scissors and then followed the grommet instructions for installation. So you basically make a grommet sandwich, putting down the base, followed by the larger piece of the grommet, also known as the male portion, followed by the fabric, and then ending with the washer portion of the grommet. Then when you hammer the tool with the sloped edges, it rolls down the edges of the grommet into position, securing it in your fabric. A little hack here, I actually ended up redoing this and I added a few pieces of extra fabric where the grommet is installed just to make sure there's enough thickness there in order to hold the grommet in place. Otherwise, it risks slipping out. Grommets just make a piece look so friggin' professional. I'm obsessed. And let me know in the comments what else I should use with the grommets because now I have a bunch and I just want to grommet a bunch of things now. Let me know. So my next step is to really just cut out bands of material which are gonna end up being all my different pockets. So my material is just gonna be this wide and then I've already figured out varying heights from like 1.5 inches to like 13 inches. So I'm just gonna cut those all out. Whatever my plan says, I'm adding 1 inch to the height for seam allowance and about 5 inches to the width for seam allowance. On the back side of each panel, I'm writing the measurements so I can coordinate that with my plan when it's time to assemble. Okay, so I was able to get all of my pieces out of the hemmed edge of the drop cloth. If I wasn't able to, this is where I would now hem the top part of the panel, but I'm good except for this skinny piece. I'm going to hem the bottom right now because it's being used kind of like a way to hook things onto. So that's the only one where I need to hem the bottom. The rest are gonna get like hemmed as I put them onto the back panel, if that makes sense. Once I pinned each panel into position, measuring out to make sure everything is even and I'm happy with how it's looking, now I'm gonna prep the panel for sewing. So that means rolling the bottom hem and pinning it into place and also wrapping the edges around the side, rolling that hem and pinning it so that it can be sewn as well. And then also on my plans, I've marked out where I'm gonna be putting vertical lines on each of the panels in order to make compartments. For the bottom pocket, I did it like the other ones, but instead of rolling the hem over at the front, I did it over to the back and then stitched it up. For the small skinny piece, I'm using the compartments more like slots and less like a pocket. So I hemmed the edges and then I didn't attach it to the bottom of the back panel, but instead I'm only doing the vertical lines. Okay, I'm done and I have to mail this to Andrea, who's on the other side of the country, but let us see how it turned out.
I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. It's amazing. The yarn, love it. Love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you liked this video, make sure you check out the time Becky and I both tried DIYing for our friends. See ya. Today, we're gonna be DIYing for our team. We're gonna give them a call, ask them if there's anything they've been itching to make or pieces that they might need, and we're gonna get to work.
It's so sexy. Oh my god, she's beautiful.